everybody, it's Miss Stilwell back with Hudson, and we are here to continue reading The Jungle Book. If you remember where we left off last time, Mowgli was now going to go down into the man's village and try to rejoin them. We are entering into the next section of this book called Kaa's Hunting, and this section is more of a flashback of some of Mowgli's adventures when he was a boy growing up in the jungle. Now, we go back to the days when Baloo, the old brown bear, was teaching Mowgli the law of the jungle. As a man cub, Mowgli had much to learn, for it was Baloo's goal that he be safe from all creatures in all parts of the jungle. Sometimes Bagheera, the black panther, would creep through the jungle and listen from a tree branch to the lesson of the day, to see how Mowgli was getting along. And so it was today. For the most part, Mowgli was a wonderful student, and Baloo was pleased to be his teacher. Mowgli could climb almost as well as he could swim, and swim almost as well as he could run. Baloo taught him the wood and water laws, such as how to tell a rotten branch from a sturdy one, how to speak nicely to the wild bees when he came upon a hive, what to say to Mang the bat when he disturbed him at midday, and how to warn the water snakes in the river pools before he splashed down among them. Baloo also taught the boy the stranger's hunting call, which Mowgli was to use whenever he needed to hunt outside his own territory. Mowgli listened to all that Baloo taught him, but sometimes it seemed to him that there was just too much to learn, and that Baloo was too stern a teacher. He grew tired of repeating the same laws over and over, and so, on this day, when Baloo got angry with him, Mowgli ran off altogether. Baloo sighed and spoke to Bagheera. A man cub is a man cub, and he must learn all the laws of the jungle, not just the parts the wolf cubs know. But he is so small, said the panther, who would have just spoiled Mowgli. How can his little head hold all the laws you want to put in it? Nothing in the jungle is too small to be killed, Baloo said earnestly. It is better to be scolded by me than harmed by another, because he does not know the law. I have been teaching him the master words, and if he will only remember them, he will be safe from the birds and the snakes and all that hunt on 4 feet. Bagheera stretched out a paw and admired his steel-blue claws. I am far more likely to be in a position to give help than to ask for it, he said smugly. But just out of curiosity, what are these master words? Let us call Mowgli and have him say them, replied Baloo. Come, little brother, Bagheera called aloud. There was a rustle above him, and a sullen Mowgli slid down the tree trunk. I come for Bagheera, and not for thee, old Baloo, the boy said with a frown. It is all the same to me, Baloo said, though he was actually quite hurt, for he loved the boy a great deal. Tell Bagheera the master words I told you today. Master words for which people? Mowgli asked, showing off. The jungle has many tongues, and I know them all. For the hunting people, Baloo said. We be of one blood, you and I, said Mowgli with a perfect bear accent. Well done, said Baloo. Now for the birds. Mowgli spoke the same master words in bird tongue, ending with the kite's whistle. And the snake people? Instructed Bagheera. Mowgli answered with a long hiss, then jumped onto Bagheera's back and drummed his heels on the panther's shiny blue-black coat. There, Baloo said proudly, patting his big stomach. He is quite safe now, because not beast, bird, nor snake will harm him. No one is to be feared. Except his own tribe, Bagheera said under his breath. And so I shall have a tribe of my own, Mowgli said excitedly, and lead them through the branches all the day long. What is this silliness? Asked Bagheera. We shall throw branches and dirt at Baloo, Mowgli went on. The monkeys have promised me this. Woof! Baloo's giant paw scooped Mowgli off the panther's back. Mowgli, said Baloo angrily, you have been talking with the Banderlog, the monkey people, who have no law? This is a great shame. Mowgli stole a look at Bagheera, whose eyes were hard as jade. They were all kind to me when Baloo was too stern, Mowgli replied with a sniffle. They came down from the trees and had pity on me when no one else cared. They gave me nuts and good things to eat, and carried me to treetops. They told me I am their blood brother, and should be their leader some day. They lie, said Bagheera. They have no leader. Man cub, said Baloo, his voice like thunder. "I have taught you the law of the jungle for all the creatures of the jungle except the Banderlog, who live in the trees. This is because they have no law. They respect nobody. They listen to nobody. They boast that they are the great people with great plans, but then a nut falls and they forget what they have just said and fight among themselves over nothing. We of the jungle have nothing to do with them." Mowgli stared at Baloo. When the bear stopped talking, the jungle seemed very silent. "The monkey people want us to notice them," Baloo went on, "but we do not, even when they torment us and throw nuts and filth on our heads, which they love to do." No sooner were the words out of his mouth than a shower of nuts, twigs, and dirt rained down upon them. Angry howls echoed from the treetops above. Baloo and Bagheera led Mowgli away, but the monkey people followed. They were very pleased with themselves, for Baloo, Bagheera, and Mowgli had noticed them. As the monkeys followed Mowgli and his friends, one of the monkey people got an idea. He realized that if Mowgli were in their tribe, he could teach them all sorts of useful things, like how to build huts to protect them from the wind. And so the monkey people decided to kidnap the man cub. Baloo and Bagheera led Mowgli through the jungle until it was time for the midday nap. By now, Mowgli was feeling very ashamed of himself. As he settled down between the panther and the bear, he vowed to have nothing more to do with the monkey people. The next thing Mowgli knew, he was being pulled upward by hard, strong little hands. Then branches swiped at his face, and he was staring down through the trees while Baloo's angry cry filled the jungle, and Bagheera bounded up a tree trunk with a low growl, teeth bared. Howling with glee, the Banderlog lifted Mowgli higher and higher. They laughed and shouted, "Bagheera has noticed us again! All of the jungle sees we are skillful and cunning." Mowgli hung on for dear life. Two of the strongest monkeys held Mowgli by the arms, zooming up and down their roads and crossroads nearly 100 feet above the ground. Mowgli tried to enjoy the rush, but mostly he felt sick as he was jerked up and down, forward and backward, and sometimes flung through the air, his heart in his throat. Sometimes he could see for miles over the treetops. Then he would be hurled downward and branches would lash across his face. At first, Mowgli was afraid of being dropped. Then he became angry, and finally he began to think. He had to send word back to Bagheera and Baloo, for the monkeys were traveling so fast that his friends would soon be left behind. Looking up, Mowgli saw Ran, the kite, soaring in the air as he waited for his next meal. Ran noticed right away that the monkeys were carrying something, so he swooped in to see what it was, and if it was good to eat. When he saw that it was the man cub, he whistled in surprise. Mowgli quickly called out the master words for birds, as Baloo had taught him. Ran could see Mowgli's little brown face appearing and disappearing between the branches. "Mark my trail," Mowgli said, "and tell Baloo the bear and Bagheera the panther." "In whose name, brother?" Ran called. The kite had heard of Mowgli, but had never actually met him. "Mowgli, the man cub!" Mowgli shrieked as he was swung through the air. Ran nodded, then rose higher above the trees and hung in one place, watching the flight of the Banderlog and their prisoner to see where they were going. Oh my gosh, this just got a little bit crazier with Mowgli's adventures. Hudson's having a lot of fun playing right now. I hope you guys have a great day today. We will continue reading tomorrow.